You stopped making videos for some time a while back. Why? Honestly, I don't really have a simple answer for this one, so I'm gonna leave it to the wise words of Rick and Morty.
Get your shit together!
Thoughts on the Neo PS4 4.5? Will Sony make it reality? Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, when there was first rumors of this thing, I was very skeptical, but as time has gone on, there's been more news, it's looking pretty for sure. In fact, I think it'd be even more surprising if we walked away from a Sony press conference with no word about a new system at all. I think a lot of people would just walk away going, wait, but I thought, there was going to be Winter-Spring 2016 Game of the Year shortlist? So it's kind of messed up because when I think about what games that I really loved playing this past year, all the main ones kind of popping up are what I've played in the past month, so part of the problem is the hype for those hasn't fully died down in me just yet. In particular, Uncharted 4, Doom, at least for the single player, and most recently Overwatch, which I'm still playing. If I'm reaching further back in the year, the one game that really stands out to me right now is The Witness, but that is a much more niche game. Is there any news about Kingdom Hearts 3? Nope. Think we will see more Fallout 4 style announcements, aka games that are going to actually still come out in 2016 get announced? Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even looking at Fallout 4, that wasn't announced at E3, that had a reveal trailer about a month before, and that's really what's going on with Titanfall right now, where we got a reveal teaser for Titanfall 2 about a month ago, it's going to be at EA's press conference where we'll get an official announcement, and it's probably going to come out this holiday season. And there's a couple other games where that's a significant possibility as well. I mean, Bethesda could have something up their sleeve, Ubisoft is going to announce the new Watch Dogs, which could be this year or early next. There's all kind of games that could get announced this year that would actually be released in 2016. What's up with the NX? So I actually did a video about this about 2 weeks ago, and the simple answer is not much that we really know of. The only things we know for a fact are that it's planned to come out in March of next year, there's going to be the Zelda game on it that's also coming out for the Wii U, and they're not going to sell the console at a loss. That's it for hard info. I mean, there's all kinds of other rumors and patents and people just digging for information. I go over those more in depth in a video that I did, so if you want to check that out, I'll link it down below. But as for right now, we really know next to nothing for sure. In fact, they've already said they're not going to have it at this year's E3, so we're probably not going to see it until Tokyo Games Show in September, or maybe even later than that if they want to do a Nintendo Direct style thing during the holiday season. How hyped are you for both Final Fantasy XV and Kingdom Hearts 3 by Square Enix? What more could we see from those during this E3? To be perfectly honest, I'm actually not that hyped for either of these games, but for very different reasons. For Final Fantasy XV, I grew up loving the Final Fantasy franchise, and over time I've kind of seen it slowly turn into something that isn't really what I originally loved. I don't think the game is going to necessarily be bad, I think it's going to be pretty solid still, I liked what I saw in the demo, but it's just not exactly offering what I wanted out of the franchise anymore. As for Kingdom Hearts 3, I am excited for it, but after 10 years of being kind of jerked around, I'm just kind of keeping my hype levels at an all-time low, and I'm just going to save those for when I actually have a controller in my hand and that game is playing on my TV screen. As for whether or not we're going to get any announcements for those this year, probably. I mean, FF15 is coming out later this year, so we'll probably get some new gameplay footage or maybe even a new playable demo on the show floor. As for Kingdom Hearts 3, no idea. Do you have a game which you come back to time and time again? Oh, definitely, for sure. I mean, over the years, there have been many games that I've gone back to time and time again that I absolutely love, but if there's one game that probably stands out above the rest, it's Chrono Trigger. It's one of my favorite games ever made, definitely my favorite RPG ever, not to mention the fact that it's just really easy to jump back into. It's not one of those games where you have to relearn the entire system and try to figure out how to min-max characters. I love the story, really easy to play. Definitely a game I go back to every year or two if possible. Will any modern game have the endurance of classics like Mario? As in, will there be Halo lunchboxes in 30 years? Yes and no. I think a lot of games that come out nowadays that have huge fan bases are going to endure for a long time. I think that those fan bases are always going to keep them alive in a cult sense. You know, there's always going to be people that cosplay or make their own merchandise or, drive demand for stuff to still be made, but I don't think anything that we've seen released in the last 5 or 10 years is going to have the same kind of staying power or the same kind of iconic level of popularity that Mario has. It's just something that happened so early on in the history of games and spread to so many people, a lot of which aren't even gamers to this day, but they still know who Mario is. It's just not an event I think we're going to see repeated anytime soon. PS4 Neo or new Xbox, what more to offer than 4K? Honestly, no idea, and not because I can't think of any good ideas of what they should add, but more of whether or not it's a good idea to add any new unique functions. I mean, one of the major repeating things that's been said with the rumors about the PlayStation 4.5 or 4K is that Sony wants to make sure that all games are compatible with both the original PS4 and these new ones that'll support 4K resolution, because if you start adding unique functionalities to these new systems, you're going to piss off your entire fan base that already invested in this older version, because you're basically saying, hey, we know you bought the system just a year or two ago, but guess what? If you want to play these new games or make use of these new special features, you need to shell out a whole nother $400 to $500, which would piss a lot of people off. What's your insight/thoughts on that the current PS4 completely lacks the hardware to allow the PSVR to function properly? Rumored, mind you. Honestly, I'm just going to stick with this one just being a rumor, and one I personally don't believe in. I don't think it's necessarily impossible, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense within the context of all the other news we've been seeing lately. I mean, we've seen the PSVR at live events where it's hooked up to regular PS4s, and it would be extremely dumb of Sony to open up pre-orders for this PSVR system, make people order them in advance, find out, hey, guess what, your current PS4 doesn't support it, which we're announcing at E3, and then have all those people cancel their pre-orders. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's it for this Q&A. Thank you guys so much for watching, and a big thank you to everyone that reached out over Twitter with your questions. I'll be seeing you guys soon with more content as we get closer and closer to E3 2016.